So how do you select to what you're sharing? Are people coming to you? Are you identifying places? Like,
There's so many of these, like, places that don't even have a social profile, that like need to get talked about.
Yeah.
And that's where like my emphasis is sort of going when like I'm pursuing places. Like, who's not getting any love?
over the last years, what would you say is the coolest thing you've done or opportunity that's come to you to where you're like, wow, how crazy is that?
I said, hey man, this is what I'm doing. What do you think? And he's like, yeah, I love it. It's like, so now I'm driving around a Lambo for a day.
This episode is brought to you by our incredible sponsor, More Resources Insurance. Are you looking for an insurance coverage that's unique as the Sunshine City itself? Look no further. More Resources Insurance is your trusted partner right here in St. Petersburg. Why choose them? Well, they offer more carriers and more market options than any other agency here in Tampa Bay. Pretty much, if it has the word insurance in it, they cover it. Anything from home, auto, boat, yacht, renter's insurance, life insurance, up to workers' compensation. You name it, they got it. They hold a 5-star rating on all the places that you can leave a review online. And with over 16 years of dedicated service, they have been delivering exceptional customer service. Get your free quote at DaveMooreInsurance.com. That's DaveMooreInsurance.com. Hello, all you beautiful people. Welcome back to Talkin St. Pete. I'm your host, Ryan Bogdan. Before we get into today's awesome guest, emphasis on the awesome, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Bogdan Homes and Moore's Resource Insurance. So we have a little bit to talk about Moore's Resource. And now we have Joe Malinowski. He is everything Tampa Bay awesome. St. Pete is awesome. Dunedin is awesome. Clearwater is awesome. If it has awesome behind it, this guy is behind it.
Oh boy. Thank
Joe,
you for
welcome to
having
the
me.
show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, super awesome. Literally. It's going to be funny every time I say that name now.
It's going to happen a lot more.
Yeah, I'm sure you get that a lot. As Mr. Tampa Bay, you just let me know that's what you're working on building. You built a hell of a brand, dude.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Are you a native here?
So I came down when I was 8, so in 92. So
Yeah.
it's been, 35, 37 years.
You're a native,
So I'm a
my
native.
friend. You're
Yeah,
a native.
I'm
You've been here.
I'm a local.
I think the cutoff's 10. As long as you get here
Nice.
before age 10,
Nice.
yeah, then you're a native.
So grew up on the Pinellas side, lived in the Hillsborough side, in Tampa, lived in Carrollwood, living it up, having a great time.
Okay. So, I'm always origin stories are always a interesting thing. I know we got a fun scavenger hunt to talk about, but how did we get to that? Where did this is awesome come from?
It's kind of funny. I was actually thinking about it with my wife over the weekend. I've basically been trying to retire since I was 12. And really, fortunately, I set up these awesome concepts in 2013. And
You were early.
Yeah, the influencers wasn't a thing. It wasn't like, this is going to be an influencer account. There wasn't even like the term yet.
Right.
Tested out one idea and it popped. And then that kind of spun off and we set up a ton of other ones. We had like bacon is awesome, soccer is awesome, yachts are awesome, 50 different pages. And then we're like, all right, how are we going to monetize any of these?
So you were thinking about that then?
Yeah, I knew it wasn't like we were going to just go out of the gates and be like, we're going to go make money now. But I'm like, we're going to build a huge audience of people. What are those different income streams that can get associated to it?
So before you go into that, what was the motivation behind building an audience?
So I had
you're early in the game, so you're like...
So I had a consulting company before that, and it's always easier to build a concept that's more around a idea than your company. No one cares about your company. And this all came around when I was working with a company called Paleo on the Go. They deliver paleo food all over the country. And I was like, let's build an audience around paleo, and then we can sell a product to them. We're our own third-party validation tool, and it crushed it. I mean, we went from 30,000 a month to hundreds of thousands a month in revenue from using social in a different way. So it's just less expensive to build those. And, I at that time lived near downtown Tampa. I was like, let's test out how this would work. No one's talking about it. Downtown Tampa was okay at that point in time. There was nothing there. But the page blew up in like 30 days.
So what was the first one that you made?
Downtown Tampa is Awesome was the first one on Facebook. Tested that out, and then it kind of like blew it out where then we had even more pages than now. Like we had St. Pete Beach, we had Madeira Beach, Carrollwood. We had, 10 different pages.
And at this time, is it you managing all of it?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is, and that's why I consolidated it down to really just the 4 that we have now. I say we, the royal we.
Yeah.
And now it's just a blast. You know, I get to hang out and kind of peek behind the
Yeah,
curtain.
you
of
might
everything.
be putting more miles in your car than some realtors.
You know, I actually don't.
No?
It's like today will be a St. Pete day. Everything's around relatively close by. There are days where it's like, I go to St. Pete, then I got to go to Dunedin, then I got to go here, which I just try to minimize. But no, surprisingly, I don't put that much on. I always think about it at the end of the year. I'm like, maybe still 12,000 a year.
Oh, that's average.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not bad. So, St. Pete's awesome. Tampa Bay is awesome. Those are your two big.
So Clearwater Beach page has the biggest on Facebook. Tampa Bay's got the largest on Instagram. St. Pete's high up there on both of them. 100K on Facebook, 60 on Instagram. Just lots of fun.
People listening right now definitely know your pages. They get informed. So how do you select to what you're sharing? Are people coming to you? Are you identifying places? Like
both?
Yeah,
both. You know, there's no shortage of fun, cool stuff to talk about.
You're not kidding.
You know, with all the new stuff, you know, they tend to hit us up sometimes, but there's so many of these, like, you know, places that don't even have a social profile, you know, that like need to get talked about.
Yeah.
And that's where like my emphasis is sort of going when like I'm pursuing places. Like who's not getting any love? Who doesn't even have an Instagram page? Right. Like, I mean, we were at like Willie's on the beach. No one's talking, like they're not doing much. They don't really need it, but at the same point, like these are cool places.
Right.
So let's go show off some of that too.
I like that. I mean, that's what we talk about all the time on the show, but it's just so true that there's the local community here is so strong. And then have brands like yours that's just putting people on the map even more that aren't, you know, these businesses that have been around 20, 30 years. They're not thinking about social in that aspect. They have their core locals that are coming, but they have a gem to them that, you know, the new people here should know about. And you're putting the light on them. And
it's a power now that like we're wielding, that it's almost. Sometimes I've had there's a place downtown, I can't even talk about her because she's awesome. And she's like, don't post about me, please. She's just like, I can't. She's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't want the blow up of
Well, sometimes too much, it can be too much.
Absolutely. So it is a little bit like I'm conscientious of it to showing and telling whoever the owner is, like, if I just show up and eat and I'm taking my stuff and doing my thing, like, you know, they didn't give it to me. Like I paid for it. So I'm kind of like incognito doing it. But I'll fill them in afterwards. Like, hey guys, I'm going to post this. I'll show them the video.
Yeah.
90+% of the time they're stoked. But sometimes they're like, please, I'm already got too much going on.
Yeah, it is a power. It is a power. The power of attention, right? Like,
yeah. And I learned it not the hard way, but I actually learned it in a place in Safety Harbor. I saw somebody post about like the city making them get some $15,000 sign. I didn't read anything about it. People were complaining, and I was like, yeah, I love this place. I shared this like petition. It explodes. Like 300,000 views, and like the news is hitting me up. I'm like, oh, guys, I have zero information.
I just shared a thing.
I was like, I love Whistle Stop. And I was like, all right, I can't just do that anymore.
Right. You have to be a little more conscious of what's happening. Yeah. Because, influence. If you tell people to go left, they're going to go left.
Yes.
Yeah. That's crazy. So what's been the biggest transformation? So since 2013 to now, like thinking about the pages, I mean, you talked about focus, like you had tons of pages. Now you're down to like 4 main ones. What else has changed in that world for you? I mean, as social media itself has evolved.
You know, the only other page that we started that I would have loved to have it was an interest thing. Like the Yachts Are Awesome page. This is when on Facebook you can do super narrow targeting. We were building that page for like 3 cents a follower and only targeting like people who have over $1 million in net worth and like very high end stuff. I don't know anything about yachts. I don't particularly care about yachts, but it would have been an amazing profitable audience like had I just built it and had it.
Right.
So the things that have massively changed is the way you're able to target a lot of different people and places and demographics and stuff like that through the social pages. That's kind of the back end transformation that's happened. But the biggest is really now like, and I'm so fortunate that it's like people are hitting you up every day.
It's a lot to manage.
You know, it's a blast.
Yeah.
It's a lot of eating. I got to ride a lot of miles. So
get a lot of good food out of it.
100%.
Yeah.
Anywhere, all day.
Can you, I mean, this is normally a question I ask at the end, but I'm curious. Like, what if you had some top spots?
Oh man,
I know it's tough because you got all of the things, but let's not put all the business relationships aside.
Totally.
Joe, it's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
Where are we going?
Birthday side of things, like there's a place called Michael's, which is a sleeper place up in Carrollwood. It's an extraordinary meal every time I've gone there.
What are we having there? What's the
whatever's
vibe?
on special. I don't like my wife gets one of the pasta dishes. I just whatever they're doing on special. But the Helm over here on St. Pete Beach, oh dude, like they're amazing.
Yeah.
And they're another low-key-ish kind of place. They're doing great on social, but the couple who owns it are wonderful, and their background and everything is incredible. In the culinary world, and it's kind of like their little sleeper gem, but everything that they put out. I mean, they're known for like their lobster roll, but I just had like the best breakfast sandwich ever there. Everything is amazing.
Okay, the Helm.
I'm a big fan of Aleo. Their brunch, ridiculous. Boy, it's
you
really
got,
like
you got
pick
long,
your categories.
Yeah.
The list is
What's the
long.
vibe? What are you going for? You got them all.
Absolutely.
What do you find? So thinking on the social media content, like you've had, accounts are growing well. You have videos that blow up. What do you find? What strategies working well today on social?
So the one thing that has shifted is a bit more of me being in front of the camera. I always kind of was mindful that at some point in the future it would be the plan to sell everything, where that pivots a little bit and changes, where it's like it can't just be the Joe show. So it's always been a little bit of my policy, so to speak. Like if you and I are out somewhere, I'm kind of make you the star a little bit, like get you the camera time, showing off that I'm hanging out with other people and kind of give them that camera space. It still seems to work, but it's kind of like someone has to be there. People definitely respond more so to seeing you eat the food than just the food itself. It's that validation that did they really eat there, or are they just promoting it?
Right.
That's probably one of the biggest changes I've seen over the last couple of years.
Engagement's gone up because of that.
Definitely, adding the voiceover with the text on the screen, like these little tiny things that probably would have worked if we started with that, but like now it's kind of like the format, like you guys do with this. It's amazing.
Yeah. Shout out to the team. Well, that's because I would say probably 90% of people are watching stuff in silent mode because they're sitting in wherever, right? And there's people around, so they can't have their volume on. So you have to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So sharing all the news, St. Pete specific, since you've been here, what are some major changes that you've seen?
Oh boy, I think the same thing. Everybody, it's just blowing up. I mean, the number of like new places opening. I think like about a month ago, there was like a 7 or 10 day stretch where we had like 5 or 6 new places opening up. It's exciting and it's fun and it's just.
Do you think we have more room for growth?
I mean, property wise, I don't think there is any more room for people. Like that's why everything's getting knocked down now. That's why when you see stuff,
gotta go up.
Yeah, we got to either go higher or knock stuff down and get out there. So the growth of things is really going to be interesting. And obviously, I lean more to like the culinary world of the elevation. Like Tampa's getting all this promo because they like brought in these different Michelin side of things, and they're getting that recognition just because it's kind of where they marketed to. But St. Pete deserves it. St. Pete's got these, Linger and Bin the Six and all of these amazing, amazing places. Getting them a different just like level of recognition in, the finer dining culinary space, which I've been kind of thrust into a little bit more of the fine dining space over the last like month. It's been interesting.
You're diving into that more?
So we're starting a luxury series.
Okay.
So I drove around a Lambo for like a day, going to like some of the fanciest places around.
Right.
So we're gonna test it out. I'm gonna do a walkthrough tour of the presidential penthouse suite at the JW next Monday.
Cool.
It's gonna be interesting.
You already did it, or that's when you're posting it?
So that's when I'm gonna go. We have to go do that video.
Got it.
They've been trying to schedule us, but doing it with just like the swankiest spots on this side of the bridge, that side, all over. So that's been a big pivot, I think, for all of Tampa Bay, is just the level of fanciness.
Yeah. Big difference between St. Pete and Tampa when it comes to
Huge.
that. Yeah.
Huge.
Well, how would you describe the vibe? I mean,
So I think you remember, it's almost like saying Tampa's now like become just Water Street area, where it's like bougie level 12. You know, it's past the 10 mark. It's
I love
crazy.
that.
Where St. Pete's not feeling that. Like it's not that it's striving for that. It's that it's like, cool, we're our own vibe, but you still have like the really, you know, everything that the Vinoy's been doing, everything that's happening along beach, and the other people who are expanding, like Aleo's doing their second concept, and you know, they're bringing Olivia's over from Tampa. They're okay. I mean, we have much better places already. It's kind of like, do we need this redundancy?
Right.
When we already have amazing Italian spots?
Right.
You know.
Yeah. It's always
air.
interesting to, I just went to a Lightning game over the weekend and just going, now I'm biased. I'm definitely Team St. Pete, you know, but going over there, I'm like, it's just a different world.
Yeah.
It's crazy what that bridge does.
It's amazing talking to people. I mean, so you can talk about St. Pete stuff on the Tampa page. You can't talk about Tampa stuff on the St. Pete page. People, bro, they lose it. They're just like, they just freak out. But it's so funny driving over. Like, it takes so long to get places. I was like, it's 25 minutes, guys.
Yeah, it really does.
If there is traffic, it's another 15.
There's something about it.
Yeah.
There's something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even going to Tierra Verde, like, you know, all of the you know what, so when I first started all this, I had this like fantasy that I was going to be able to like connect the bays and get people out of their bubble. But, you know, there's Visit St. Pete, Clearwater, Visit Tampa Bay. I'm like, guys, at the time, which is far higher than this now, it was a cumulative amount of like $90 million going to promoting the area. And it's like, if you go on St. Pete's page, Visit St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa's a wasteland. It doesn't even exist. It's like there's a dot where there's an airport.
Right.
And the same kind of thing on Visit Tampa Bay. They're not really pushing the beaches because their tax money, their revenue comes from that.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe we can do this. Right. And naive, you know, 28-year-old, and just like, nah, no one cares. Everyone's happy with their bucket of money.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to shake
You're right.
this up.
I didn't even think of that from that standpoint of like from municipality using their tax dollars and where that's going to promote their cities.
So it's special tax dollars. It's not like governmental tax dollars. It's the bed tax. So all of that little fee when you stay at a hotel, all they care about is heads and beds.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, they're not going to send
irrelevant.
people over to the other. Yeah, no, not at all. So you're doing this cool thing at Shopapalooza coming up.
So excited and so grateful for
and you've
Esther
been doing
and
this
them.
scavenger hunt thing before, right?
We tested it out in Tampa on Riverwalk in June, and then in Ybor in the summer, which it was super hot. But 200 people showed out, and I really wanted to do it in St. Pete. And Esther, so awesome. Local Shops One. She's the host of Shopapalooza. Her and I were chatting, and I was like, look, I want to be able to sell as many tickets as possible and have a big fun event without like a cap. And it was hard trying to figure out where can I do this without like coming out and renting a park or like talking with Janice to have some big space. And she was just like, come out to Shopapalooza.
Yeah, so tell us, what are you doing?
So we are going to be hiding some fun stuff in different areas around St. Pete so the people will find out where their boundaries are. And everything that they find is going to be correlated to different categories of gift cards. So we'll have, I say the lower end ones would be the $10 to $25. Then we've got a bunch of $50 to $100, probably have 30 or 40, 50 of those. And then there's one $500 grand prize. So there's one little character that'll be associated to that. So visitors will come to Shopapalooza on Sunday morning. So Shopapalooza is 2 days, the 25th and 26th. Our scavenger hunt will be the 26th in the morning. So check-ins to 9:30 to 10:30. At 10 o'clock, we'll give everybody kind of like the rundown of like, here's the boundaries, here's what you're looking for, here's all of the other clues that are available for other prizes. Send them out, and then
this is a lot of planning.
It is, and it's not to the level of what I've seen. Like, it would be fun to do one of those like Amazing Race kind of things, but the logistics behind all that, like, you need a whole massive team. Fortunately, like, we can scout out where we're gonna put stuff easy ahead of time.
So how big of an area are you thinking?
It's gonna be reasonable. It's definitely gonna be reasonable. There's gonna be probably 100 to 200 things that are available out there.
That's
we're gonna have awesome prizes. So anyone who comes with kids, kids are automatically gonna win like a $25 prize. So we're just finalizing that right now with a cool gaming place called Laser Ops. They're amazing, and it's VR and cool games. So we're gonna have some fun things for them, for all of the kids that come. But it's gonna be a reasonable space. Then people can bring their stuff back. We'll start announcing just like, all right, everyone who's got, XYZ, bring it over. However many they've collected, we just give them an envelope. The envelope's got some cool swag in it. And they're able to hang out at Travelpalooza, enjoy some time, and run around.
So where did this idea spawn from? I know you said you did it before, but like, what's your motivation behind doing a scavenger hunt? Just to get the people together that are following the page and like hang out?
A bit of that, trying to activate and see how does the page bring people specifically out for stuff like that. But I got my buddy Karen from Fun Tampa. It was really, he gets the credit for it. He pushed and he's like, let's do this. He too is in real estate. He's doing a lot of stuff in Riverview, and he was like, I want to do these. Let's just give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
And he just like funded the first one. We didn't charge anybody. We just gave away like $2,500.
Yeah.
And said, come to Riverwalk. We're giving away all these things. It was well received, got people activated. It was something fun to do. And then kind of, the intention is to grow it to where it is monetized. So we haven't made anything at this point.
Right.
We're, down a little bit of money, but
it's fun. Get people together, come out with Shopapalooza, go on. I mean, totally. This is like, from what I've seen, the way you've been promoting it, it looks exciting.
Everybody really gets excited. There's a lot of good tagging going on. We sold more tickets already than I would have anticipated being a couple weeks out. So the bulk of your tickets come the last like 3 or 4 days.
Right.
So it's like to be where we're at already.
Well, that's like right when this is coming out. So if you're listening to this now and you're looking for something to do on Sunday.
Yes, this Sunday.
Yeah, you need to sign up for the scavenger
Jump on
hunt.
localscavengerhunts.com and grab your tickets, or you go on any of our pages. The links are all there. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah. So with the pages, I was just had thought of this. Like over the last years, what would you say is the coolest thing you've done or opportunity that's come to you to where you're like, wow, how crazy is that?
I would the last like 45 days for me have kind of been like the wow, have you made it kind of a thing. So there's a place called Motor Enclave, which is this like luxury garage community that people buy these, basically just box garages for $400,000+, and they're putting their cars there. Like, I fortunately built a relationship with them, and they've had me come to some like adrenaline driving cool cars and stuff like that with them. Then this whole Lamborghini thing, I hit them up and I was like, so they rent these. They've got a fleet of sick cars, like McLarens and the Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Rolls Royce stuff. I mean, elite exotics. So I said, hey man, this is what I'm doing. What do you think? And he's like, yeah, I love it. It's like, sweet. So now I'm driving around a Lambo for a day. But some of these, I went to this like omakase experience last week. It's like, it was incredible. It's like $285 a person.
Right.
Like, it's an expensive thing to do, which I love food.
Right.
Would I have pulled the trigger on that? Not after doing it. It's just like, I could see where like it's
to the 9. Yeah.
It's an incredible experience. Like, but getting invited to that kind of stuff,
right.
Like having enough reach for these places to be like, well, and
now you get to talk about it and promote it and experience it. That's really what they want. They want your take on it.
I don't know if they care about my take more than they care about just the audience,
Well, that's what I mean, but your take is the audience.
Yeah. Showing, getting the feedback from places. I get the most like just joy from like when a post goes on a place that's a little bit more like low key and it blows out.
Yeah.
Like I got a place in like Lithia, and it's, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's social gold. Every post I've done there, it's like 300,000, 500,000, $1 million. It's a little place off in Lithia. It's got a home goods space and a restaurant, White Oak Cottage. They're lovely, but they hit me up all the time, and they're just like, dude, people are still coming in. Like, I saw this post. I saw these things going on. So it's super cool to see places like that. And, you build these relationships with the smaller business owners who care. Like, they need to get that exposure.
Right.
You promote something on Beach Drive.
It doesn't need it.
They care, but you're just another influencer they're paying to come out.
Right.
Which is fun.
It is cool to watch that. even from this, like that fulfillment of when people are like, oh, so-and-so just came in because I saw the podcast or whatever it is.
It's amazing.
It's awesome. It's
and
really
you're
awesome.
starting to get recognized a little bit when you're out of town. You're kind of a little local celebrity, and
it's a little weird.
It is definitely weird. It's a
little weird. Yeah. When we started the show, it was like, are we gonna have the goal was let's just do one episode for a year and see what happens. But starting that, I'm like, that means I need 52 guests.
Yeah.
Am I gonna have 52 people who want to come on and talk to me? And now it's like, of course, why not? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Once you build a little platform, even as your audience is growing, people, the consistency is everything. So to make that 52-week commitment, awesome.
We're doing it. We're almost there. We got one slot open, and by the time this comes out, I'm sure it'll be filled.
Sweet.
So we'll be going into season 2 for
cool.
next year. Yeah, it's cool. What do you think? What are people? I don't know. I'm just thinking about the future of St. Pete, and I've been spending a lot of time in Austin.
Nice.
I've been hearing like Asheville is kind of like St. Pete, and so just thinking of the direction. What do you think St. Pete looks like in 5 years? Like from your perspective, everything, because you're even more in the know than I am, right? And some things maybe coming, or you're like just watching the vibe of the last few years of what's been happening. So what do you think the trajectory is 5 years from now?
I think there's still, there's a lot of obviously pursuit of the bigger dollars with, is it Kathy Wood's project, and like the things that she's doing, the big high rises that are going up, kind of just almost, I think. And everywhere in the Bay Area, it's like I say this bougie level, but like that like elevated level where personally, I don't know if I'm excited about it. Like it feels like we lose a little bit of the, you're going down the street and I just want to go have a beer and hang out. And it's like, all right, well, it's $9 beer night everywhere now. Like, so that real, just small local communities. That's why I've been promoting like dive bars and stuff recently, because everyone still loves dive bars.
Right.
And, you go to Flamingo's 3 for $7 for Wells. I mean, people are just like, what? But it's interesting to see how much everyone's striving for the development and the higher paying jobs to keep up with the increase in housing costs and all of those things that come with it. But it's always kind of like, is it an antithesis? That's not the right word. A little almost contradictory. Or like, we want these things, but then I don't think it's native for people to think about what are the consequences that come when these things happen, because then with nice stuff. Well,
to your point, even like I love that you're promoting a dive bar, but if the dive bar becomes so busy, it loses the ambiance of a dive bar. The good thing about a dive bar is there's no wait when you go up to the bar, and you can get a beer, and you can actually have a conversation because it's not packed and loud.
True.
Not that, like, I'm not saying,
of course,
but I'm just saying to your point, right? Like, good things become too popular, they lose a touch. I was just having a conversation, during COVID, Tulum, Mexico blew up on the map, right? One of the only places that stayed open during COVID that had really no restrictions and all that. And I went there over New Year's, and there was like one road that goes to the beaches. You have to drive 2 hours from Cancun to get there, kind of secluded, but was still blowing up at the time. Now there's more roads to get to the beaches. There's a train going there, an airport opening. The specialness is going to be lost of what originally created the attraction. And one thing I think about is, how do we as a city continue to keep St. Pete what it is without losing it? And I don't know that you can, because change is inevitable.
Yeah, like the Pandora's box has kind of been open, with all of the recognition that the areas are all getting all the time. It's like we kind of end up, I'd say, leaning on Gulfport, Paso Grill, Dunedin, Tarpon, Safety Harbor to kind of like be those, what we long for that. We want that smaller town local vibe. And they're kind of, I think Gulfport, Paso Grill are like doing the best job holding on to it, where Dunedin's kind of blowing up,
Yeah, well, Dunedin's got a cool vibe to it.
Super cool, but I love Dunedin. I love Gulfport. I'm hanging out there the rest of the afternoon, and like there's those towns that you stumble on that if you end up there on vacation, you're just like, dude, how are we not? We're totally going back there. But it's funny you say the thing about Tulum, like even our culinary things here, like I never even you're mentioning it, like I didn't even know what made it a thing. But now the concrete jungle over here just opened up. Tulum-based thing.
Yep.
There's some other Tulum-based thing in downtown Tampa. I was like, why do we care about this Tulum place? I didn't even know anything about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if those that have gone, it's a vibe.
Yeah.
It's just a vibe. It's like this disconnected, this different thing. I mean, people are wearing different outfits there, and it's this different, the music and the beach scene, the beach clubs, and you know, more of a spiritual, like St. Pete's got this spiritual vibe to it, but like that would be like the mecca of like what that's coming from the color tones that are there, like the art and the jungle and all of these things. I understand why it's becoming trendy. It's like almost a style. It's an era of what Tulum did. But I think because and COVID, I did that because it stayed open. To your like. Things blew up on social. People were seeing it. Oh, this looks like when I'm stuck in my place, here's somewhere you can go, and it's open, and it's this spiritual journey that everyone was on during COVID because they had more time with themselves. So it makes sense. And so now that it's that Tulum vibe is like now like I was just chatting with someone. They're like, oh yeah, I want my space to look more Tulum-y, and they had never even been.
Oh wow, yeah,
right, because it's just like this.
Yeah,
it's like, oh well, we want more New York.
It's its own trending style. I'm sure on TikTok there's a whole
for sure
how to Tulumify your house kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll see how long it. I don't know. It's gonna. Change is inevitable. That's just one thing we have to keep our heads around.
But to your point there, like that's, I would venture to guess, like you have the top 20% who's just like, cool, we're printing money now, and all of the the locals of Tulum are kind of just like, we can't get to the beach.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure there's no shortage of their complaints.
Run a lot of it down there.
So they're just happy to have whatever influx and stuff they're having.
And I'm not gonna say much more because I know I'm coming after me.
Yeah, we don't need getting down there, but I mean that's kind of what we're more or less experiencing here. Where like you being in real estate and seeing it, like when I post a property, the amount of people commenting just about how unaffordable and how this, and like, yeah, I get it. And it's just like they're blaming realtors, they're blaming different things and circumstances. It's like none of these factors are what's making it go up. We're getting so much promotion and publicity on international scales. Yeah, there's a ton of people moving here, but they're the jobs that I hear people talking about, like a lot of these people who are moving here from other places have remote jobs. Like the remote change is crazy. Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting shift and pivot. I know we've got some new co-working spaces that have been opening up. So it's going to be just really a educational, like relearning how to participate in the job market, being that it's a global opportunity.
Yeah, globalization is something that I like to think about. Sometimes I get on here and I go, do people care about these thoughts? I don't know, but they're mine, and that's what I'm sharing.
I love it. Like, we can geek out on that all day.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, like, it's not realtors doing that to St. Pete. It's not, maybe we're part of the problem because right now here we are talking about it, right? And things are expanding, but at the same time, it's like the inevitable. If we're not doing it, someone else is going to be. And it's a supply, it's basic economics 101, supply and demand. Yeah. You go to New York. New York's not affordable. Yeah. But everyone wants to be there. St. Pete, with the new 80-acre project going on with the Rays Stadium, they're building affordable housing there. Yeah. It's part of the proposal. So people are conscious of it, but at the same time, it's like if you only have 10 apples and 100 people want them, you got to increase pricing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So who knows? I'm thinking now a different direction to try to go with this. Where do you see your pages going in the next, as things are blowing up? Because like to this point, right? We're talking about growth. It just means more people are watching, more things are coming. Here's a good question. What does your day-to-day look like? So like today, you said you're going to golf.
I'm so horribly spoiled. I'm appreciative and grateful for it and getting to hang out with cool people like you. So, the typical, like Mondays is usually kind of just hanging out at the office day. It's a day like I got to pick my daughter up early from school or on time from school and stuff. So I usually hang back, and then like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, out and about in whichever community. So usually get out to whatever area, 10-ish, 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then
So do you make a list before? Okay, I got to hit up these 3 spots today, or these people have come. Like, just lay out a little bit of what that looks like.
It tends to be, since there's so much demand, which is so nice, where I'll pick like, so I've got to go meet with Sale Market with Sarah this afternoon at Gulfport. So like I end up having typically like one place or at least 1 or 2 meetings set up in whatever area. So like those are my anchors where it's like, all right, I have to go to St. Pete this day, or I have to go to Dunedin or wherever I got to go. And then it's like, all right, I got to be down there. What else is around there? What else can I do? What else can I show off? Who else needs some love? And kind of create stuff and, figure out just what else is there to even to do or to show off or just to meet and hang out with. Like I think, like I've said, around being able to support these other small businesses, places that I've just create relationships with, like, hey guys, I'm gonna be in the area. You want to go just spitball ideas and throw stuff around? Like, like I mentioned, the Helm, they launched this. They're doing it once every other month or every 3 months, where they're having like a whole theme of what they're gonna curate and different menu items, like a little bit of a pop-up sort of theme. They did an Italian one in September, and it did amazing. They're gonna do, I think, a more like Nordic style thing in December and really show off a lot of different elements and cuisines from that region. And it came from us hanging out and talking. And I was like, hey, this is what this place does over here, that it's crushing it. It's social fodder. You guys can modify your existing inventory so you're not buying new inventory, and modify those recipes and working. And, when you're in your tunnel vision,
Joe, you're a master marketer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun to think about. I think the one thing that I learned in marketing from when I had the consulting practice, I was fortunate to have, business partner, mentor. He was an older guy and he just was brilliant. But the one thing I always would notice is how people would light up when they present ideas and marketing and things like that. And he would just be like, how would you engage with that? And it seems mundane and obvious, but if you think about when you're presenting something in marketing, whether it's ads or content or whatever that is, like, how would you engage with it? I would think most often you probably wouldn't.
No, I love this conversation. It's funny. I was having this exact conversation yesterday with another business owner and talking about marketing and how you have to think of, would I pay attention to that?
Yeah.
I look at myself as I'm the hardest person to market to. So when I think of like marketing stuff, if it can grab my attention, then we're probably doing all right. Yeah. But if I'm not watching it, if I'm scrolling past it, I'm not looking at your flyer, I'm not reading your email. Yeah, that's the perspective that I come from. So I love that question. How would you engage with it?
How would you participate in stuff?
So what's working well? Like, let's give a quick little 60-second for those business owners that are listening. What are some tips that you're seeing that it's working well? Because you're crushing social media. So what's working well?
Obviously the Reels side of things, where that you figure out what that format is that works. So I mean, you're leading it off with your hook, your headline. That first 2 to 3 seconds is what's getting them curious enough to continue to watch it. So for me, from most of the stuff's around like hospitality, fun, or food, that leading shot has got to be like, what's going on? One of the cool ones I did at Aleo, they had I forgot what the drink was, but it's like me holding this thing and drinking like that. And I'm just like, best brunch in St. Pete. It was like, where's drinking, taking shots like this?
Right.
And it blows out. So thinking around, looking at how to make your content pop in a way. And not all of the businesses obviously can have something that's so visually enticing, but whatever those questions are, and go look at what other pages are doing in your field, see what's already popping, and go recreate it. Like 99% of people it's not original. Like, you're creating your own original stuff, but someone's done it, talked about it, especially in all the other industries and businesses. So that leading off, that hook that brings them in. And when people talk about running ads, I meet people all the time and they're just like, so I only do organic, I don't grow like this. It's like, guys, you're missing, like, it's not going to be this cheap forever. And it was shockingly, growing the pages when it was focused on Facebook, very inexpensive. And now when you have a post that really does well, what I mean as well is like, you're getting, equal to or more shares than likes. Shares are the currency. Likes are irrelevant. Likes are just the social fodder behind it, where you might see a post that's only got 500 likes but gets in front of 100,000 people. It's because it's got more shares. I want the shares.
Right. More eyeballs.
When you have that, that's what you run an ad on. And you're running it to drive people back to the profile. Super targeted, super demographic focused. Depending on your industry, you might have regulations with that, but you get super narrow with it, and then understanding why these people are following you. And it's hard sometimes to remain in that context where that's hard from the scavenger hunts within context. We talk about events. People talk to me about doing merch all the time. I've tried. That no one's following me
for your merch.
It doesn't fit. It always flops, and then we'll go wear it, and people will be like, "Oh, where did you get that?" And then no one cares.
Right.
It's not worth the effort because I didn't build an audience with that in consideration. So sometimes it's challenging to look at how you built an audience and then almost say, I want to pivot. It's like, well, your audience doesn't pivot. They want that.
Right.
You got
Stay in that lane. I'm glad. It's funny you brought that up because we've talked about merch for the podcast, Talkin St. Pete. Because a lot of people say that they would want something. But to your point, do they? Or is it just, I don't know.
They would. Look, you'll sell some stuff, but is it, at the end of the day, is it worth the effort? I mean, for me at this point, when I'm thinking of merch, I have some cool aviators that I'm going to put Mr. Tampa Bay on. It's a promo item. I'm going to give them away.
Right.
I think it's the easiest to relate that whole concept to think about Larry the Cable Guy. That's not him.
Yeah.
That is 100% a character. If you watch his old early stuff, he's just a comedian who created that.
Yep.
And now he's stuck with it. He can't Larry the Cable. Larry the Cable Guy can't just change to be stockbroker Larry.
That is who he is.
So, how you build that audience is critical. But I mean, I always encourage places, which is more time, but if you want to grow your audience and you want to build your business socially, building that entity that is interest of the area where, I'll have insurance guys reach out or service providers and home provider or home services and stuff. It's they want me to promote it. It's no one it's not sexy, guys. And can I do it? Sure, it's not going to work very well. It's not going to be worth the investment that they're going to have to make. But if I created a page that's talking around home service is of Tampa Bay and talking about cool places,
specific about that,
showing off hey, the sliding door roller people came in and this is how they did it. I had a great experience, kind of your own version of recommendations to Angie's List. It can work.
Right. You gotta want to do it. That are showing up for that. Yeah. So business owners, you need to have a hook.
Definitely the hook. The hook is the critical part.
And their attention span is goldfish level, so you got 2 seconds.
That first tour, if it's a solid hook, you'll get them in. If you sell them 2 seconds, you could probably sell them 10 seconds.
Isn't that crazy? 10 seconds.
If you could sell them 10, you might have them. So there's an amazing. I think there was the bar, not the guy who would go in and help fix your bar.
Yeah.
The bald dude.
Yep. A bar rescue.
He's all right, so 20%, was it 20% or 50? I think it's 20% of people, if they have a flawless experience, will come back to your restaurant a second time. 20% of them will come back if they have another flawless experience a third time, and then 80% of them will come if it's a flawless experience on that third visit. So it's you have those 3 visits. The numbers might be off. I don't know if it was 20%.
No, well, 80-20 principle makes sense.
But thinking of that, not only will you have to have a flawless experience to come back, you have multiple flawless experiences, and thinking about how you're showing up all the time. There's an amazing book called Inside the Magic Kingdom. So Disney would do these tours around behind the lots and all that, but the business focused side, not just the fun side. And in the first chapter, the tour guide asks, and he says, "Who do you think our competitors are?" And everyone's SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, this and that. He's okay, yes. What if I told you Walmart and LL Bean and FedEx are also our competitors? Everybody's, what do you mean? What's going on? He's you booked a stay at Disney, and now you have shipped something from FedEx, and something didn't go right, and now you have to call FedEx, and you have to deal with FedEx or whatever the company is. You're talking with them, and then immediately after that, you say, "Oh, I forgot something with my Disney reservation," and now you're calling us. We're not comparing like experiences. We're comparing experiences. So you're going to get off the phone, and how different was the experience dealing with the Disney employee than was with XYZ company?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big, I think, mental shift for any business owner to realize, like, everyone's just comparing experiences, and how do we only put on the best experience possible, where you see the Ritz-Carltons, you hear their customer service levels of stuff. That's what gets talked about.
Joe, you just dropped a little bomb there. Like that.
Reading books, baby.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you even brought up a book, because one of my next question was going to be, do you read, and what are you reading? But talking about everything that we're doing right now, we're having an experience right now.
Yeah.
And to think of, it's not just in your industry, but it's all experiences. From how was your experience at the gas station? How was it when you went to the doctor? How was that? And then when you have a good one, doesn't matter where it was, you'll remember it and recognize it, and it can be, and then you're gonna want to talk about it. You're gonna want to share it.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's
so how do we create those memorable moments and experiences?
No matter what industry you're in,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, you know, or what you do, or even
to
when
go
you say,
above and
when
beyond.
you meet someone.
Meeting.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I love about this. We know, like you and I, however long we've been sitting here, there's no other, like, we're just locked in.
Yeah.
You know, no other distractions, no food coming, no, you know, the phones are on silent. It's cool. It's cool.
It's a blast.
So what else are you reading?
I got Goggins on repeat, man. I got sucked into.
Go hard.
Oh, dude. So 2 or 3 years ago, I had a slip disc, and it was a terrible year. I was training for ultra stuff, doing big distance things. Slipped my disc, was out for a year. I forgot how one of my friends just, listened to the first book. That was, it's amazing. You can't obviously not do things. Are you familiar with?
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah. You've eliminated all excuses.
Yeah, you can't hurt me. Yeah.
So I went through that a couple of years ago. Then there was like a year period of like, all right, I got out of the disc. I could do things again. I was in my groove. And then a year after my disc was fine, I found out I had cancer in my mouth, and I had to get all these teeth removed. And it's I don't want to diminish it. It was much more dramatic mentally. Yeah. It was like 2 months of like, oh my God, am I going to die? What's going on with this? It was fortunately a week of inconvenience, surgery, and whatever else. And everything's been delightful. It's now been over a year from that. But, you're going, you're in immense pain, like from the disc, then going into cruising through a year, business is good, everything's running, little other speed bump. So, you're getting in your groove. Momentum's hard to build and easy to lose, So you have that fall off of that momentum, to grind back and just push through it. And it's just like, if you're familiar with Goggins, like
the mental toughness.
And it's the time frames it takes to get back on whatever my noteworthy groove is, for me to just feel the production, feel the momentum building, and to get back to it. It's like, it's so much shorter, but also in combination with, I'm a huge ice bath guy. I mean, like,
you going to, it's slipping my name right now.
So my buddy Michael owns Plunge Sauna. Going there, going to Vitality, which...
Yeah, shout out to those guys. Can't wait for that 4th Street location to open.
I think
it's really
tomorrow.
Close. Yeah.
15th? Whatever it is.
Yep.
So love them so much. Like I had some chest stuff going on to go hang out in the salt room a couple days, dude.
Cleared it up.
Right out of there.
Have you laid on the PEMF
I've done all of it, dude.
Yeah,
I love
that thing is
everything in there.
Yeah.
I haven't done the hyperbaric chamber yet.
Me neither.
But floating.
That's a time commitment.
I'm usually there doing like 4 things. Just, they're like superhuman room. Amazing.
Yep.
But once I actually did the ice baths, when Mike brought me we went to a thing in Sarasota, the ice baths, the Wim Hof breathing, like, it's almost the cliche-ness, like something flipped. Like my level of productivity was like off the scales, but it lasted for me like a whole week or two. And I was like, I got to keep doing this. And like that combined with like the Goggins, it was the perfect storm to just like give me the formula.
Yeah.
You're out of your groove. Here's your kit.
Right. Yeah. Get back to those things and productivity source. Have you read the book Breath by James Nestor?
You know what? I think I started
it's a yellow book.
I think I downloaded it. I haven't listened to it yet. I think it's in my Audible account.
If you're into the breathing thing, anyone listening, and it talks about how the breath is a piece of our health that we don't pay attention to.
Oh, so much so.
Yeah, and it's a journal. It's not a hard it's a really fun read because it's a journalist who goes through all these publications and he does his own experiments with closing his nostrils off and only mouth breathing for a week and what that did to
did read that part.
To his blood levels and all like health wise. He just so much coolness out of it. It goes back to like old tribes, how they would shut babies' mouths and make sure that they weren't mouth breathing and all these different techniques with going to Wim Hof. And it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's an incredible read and makes you more conscious of your breath.
Oh, I'm so much more. And over the years doing different yoga retreats and everything, like, you know, I just love all of it. And that's part of like, what does my day look like? I mean, the fortunateness that I have some of that time, flexibility and freedom to be able to focus on those kinds of things and invest the time to learn it and practicing it. Even though I'm so out of practice this week, but
get back to
it's gonna be there. But
what's one thing in St. Pete that people should know about that's on your radar, that's recently on your radar? Maybe you even promote it, maybe you haven't. Like if we're gonna share, like what's something that we need to put on the map?
I mentioned them earlier, man, but like I love the Helm is I think one of the biggest sleepers for me.
Okay.
I don't feel like I see much about it. You know what? I'm brick and mortar. You know, I feel like they're one of the least talked about and most amazing. Every time I go there, what they create, like
the experience
is fine. Like I'm not as much I'm like, how amazing is the food?
Yeah.
How creative and flavorful and different. And he just knocks it out of the park all the time. Like, so I think they're almost like an unappreciated, because they're right. I mean, now that I think it was the next door to Concrete Jungle, right? You know, that whole construction, they're like, man, that was they didn't think about it. Like it was a huge hit not being able to walk through here. So they've been grinding it for a little while, and now everything's great, but it's just still like, if you haven't been there, you know, Bin 6 as well.
We had
way out of the beaten path kind of thing.
Bin 6 South is so cool.
Solid.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really...
Tropez, I was just hanging out at Tropez a week ago. Beautiful vibe, amazing food.
What about not food related? I know you're doing a lot of food things.
I'm a food man.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's like your go-to. But so like we're here, we already ate, we're full. Where should we go? What should we do?
Boy, oh boy.
I know, a little different of it.
Yeah, that's a
because when people ask like, oh, what should I do in St. Pete? It's like I have a long list of everywhere you should go eat.
Yeah.
But what if you're not hungry?
What if you're not hungry? What if I get the people who are like, oh, I don't drink. And it's like, you're like, well, what have we eliminated?
Yeah.
I'm a guy who just loves to walk around and explore. And
yeah, where's your best walk?
Just even walking, going north by Vinoy Park and just like walking up and around there towards Snell Isle, like those cool, and walking through those communities leading up to Snell Isle through the Northeast. And it's beautiful. It's peaceful. It's just serene.
Yeah, cobblestone roads, all that.
The cobblestone stuff. The Pink Streets, I think, is a pretty cool little like gem area that obviously doesn't get any love. Like if you didn't know about it,
yeah, I'm sure a lot of people listen to the Pink Streets. Where's that?
So the Pink Streets, Pinellas Point, South St. Pete, beautiful homes. They have a park down there. You can see the Skyway. Just a cool place to explore and check out. There's some areas that you can see the Indian Mounds. There's tons of plaques and information and educational stuff. You want to check all that out. I think that's probably like one of the unique little gems. And then like even like Roser Park, you walk through, it's all like crazy hilly, like in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
Fun little community that's got the river, Boyad? No, what is it? Lost track of whatever the little water thing that goes through it.
I don't know.
Boyd? No. Whatever.
Yeah.
There's a water that goes through it, and you can totally see like it's like a canal, and then there's like pylons that go across it. So you're gonna walk across them, and hope they don't break. And, it's just fun little areas. We have so many parks, like, just to explore. And I think those, don't go unnoticed. But the Boyd Hill Park that we did a showcase on, like, they've got like a whole aviary aviation. Aviary? No, aviary, birds.
Oh, the birds. Yeah.
Tons of birds. They got some bald eagles and owls and hawks.
I didn't know about that.
Huge.
The aviation piece, we just did a team photo shoot, and I said, "Hey, meet at the airplane at the pier," and they were like, "Where's that?"
Exactly.
Okay, so if you don't know, here's a fun little fact for anyone listening.
Yeah.
That St. Pete had the first commercial flight from St. Pete to Tampa, and the mayor was the passenger. And you can go see it at the pier and learn about it. To your point, like, you go down to Pinellas Point, wherever, you can go read something.
How many times you've been? I mean, people have been to the pier, and it isn't like the statue of the plane is like in an obvious walking path. You're walking a little bit off to the right. But
people go to the pier all the time, and when I said that, I thought that was a staple.
Totally.
Turns out it's not, and I think that's a cool piece of history that we have.
No.
Yeah.
Pushing a tiny bit back to food, but it's at the Fine Art Museum. But Cafe Clementine is tucked away in there, and like the museum should be paying them
because it's that good.
Because I'm sure she's bringing considerably more people, because not to say no one cares about these museums. Like, the amount of people that go to these museums, I've seen the numbers, I've seen how they report them, and they're so flawed. They're like, if you have a wedding, they're counting those people as like visitors or stuff. Like, that doesn't work.
Just because they're in there. Yeah.
Just because they've come. That's like, how many people are coming through paying to come to this?
Right.
And keep it moving and supported. And it's just like, a lot of, we have so many museums throughout the area, and
which is cool and like odd at the same time.
I don't know if it's odd. I think it's, the Tom James Museum, obviously the money doesn't matter because whatever, but at the same time, like, don't these have to be financially viable? Like, what has to happen to keep these, and do the residents really care enough about it? You'll have enough people. If one closed, I'm sure everybody would be like, oh my God, we love this place. Like, when's the last time you were there?
It's true. It's true. Because as you're saying that, because in my mind, I'm always thinking, oh, well, you know what? On an ugly day, that's a day to go to the museum. But how many of those do we have?
When it's an ugly day out, which, seldomly enough, you're like, all right, I'm just going to sit at home today. This is a Netflix day.
Right. Yeah. I don't think today's the day to go to the museum, although I do love the Dali.
And Dali's the
staple.
Yeah. Like, there's been multiple attempts of having like a whole museum pass where like you can pay one fee and then you can go to all of them. And Dali's always kind of like, everyone's really just hoping that Dali agrees, so then you can get into there.
Right. But
they
don't need
to benefit about Dali. Like, if they're anything, they're going to get screwed.
Yeah, they don't need to.
So it's I know all of the museums are always looking for different ways to promote stuff and do things, but they're all cool places. They're unique, they're beautiful, they're doing different exhibits at each of them, like, to kind of go and support that. If it's I was at a meeting with the Arts Commission a couple of years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and he had a very interesting financial statistic around the arts community as it compared to the Rays, and this was probably like 2018 or 2019. And he said, he goes, you know what? Everyone's just always up in arms about everything that the Rays does. He's like, if the arts community left, it would be like 2 or 3 times. It was a considerable amount more money that was getting generated for the community, for taxes, for everything like that, than anything that the Rays did. And they're like, would anybody even complain? Like, would anybody even like notice, just because it's so dispersed? But it's like, and I think St. Pete, more so than all the other communities in Tampa Bay, does appreciate their arts community
definitely
in a much bigger, different way. But it was an interesting theory around him presenting that as like a financial impact. What gets
media attention versus not, but the community here knows about. Like, I've had conversations with artists that they've specifically moved here because of the art community. Speaking of Gulfport and things like that, the Gulfport that is filled with some famous artists.
I didn't know.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh yeah, there's like, and the names are slipping me. I wish I could remember the one guy's name, but like, has done artwork that you recognize from like Campbell Soup and like Finding Nemo and like all. I mean, there is like some real talent in Gulfport because of the community that's there, and you would never know.
No,
you never know unless you walk into they got studios in their backyards. That's just like, they're massive.
What's that place I've shown off in Safety Harbor that is like that post is another one that always blows up with like millions of views. It's in downtown Safety Harbor. Oh gosh, if you just look up like crazy art place in Safety Harbor, it's like it's like a house that's just colorful and mirrors. Whimsyland.
Never heard of that.
Like I did the post about it and I hit them up and I was like, I'm sorry guys. Like
This is gonna blow you up.
I hit a few other Safety Harbor places. I was like, yo, downtown might be ridiculous this weekend because like this post just went bonkers and you can only get so many people
through
this thing. I mean, you know, even here's your it's food, Jim.
No,
but
it's good. Bring it.
The weekly Asian market at the Lao Cultural Center. That is the must. Like most amazing, coolest place, everything's incredible. The people are amazing. Every Friday night, like 5:30 to 11 at the Lao Cultural Center off of 58th Street, I think it is. There's like 20, 30 vendors. Every one of them's different. Show up with like a couple friends and everyone has like $20. Everybody get like 2 things.
And you can just
bring it and you're just having the most incredible feast of different things than you're getting anywhere. So cool.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool, there's plenty of parking. I know that it's been a zoo since I posted about it 2 weeks ago. Like the vendors are hitting me up and they're like, dude, we need to bring a lot more food.
Yeah. Well, that's a good problem to have.
Very cool. And again, one of the, you know, the people that have had me come out, everyone's so wonderful and so appreciative. Like, you know, I think the first video we did got 150,000. Then I did a post last week. They got another 100,000. And I'm like, all right, I probably shouldn't post about this for a little while. Let it like settle. But
that's cool.
So delicious.
I like that. That's a collective experience that you can have with everyone and share. That's
totally.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Speaking of awesome, I think we're at our time here, Joey.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Flew by.
An hour goes by quick when you're having a great time. Not that they need it, but where can they find you if they don't know where you're at?
Any of the awesome. So St. Pete's awesome. Tampa Bay is awesome. Clearwater Beach is awesome. Dunedin's awesome. Localscavengerhunts.com is where you can get those tickets if you want to come out this weekend to the scavenger hunt. And then in the post notes, we'll even pop in a coupon, a little discount code for everybody who's watching the show.
There it is.
So I'll figure out whatever that is, but it will be in the post text.
Yes. We'll put that. So look below for your coupon code for the scavenger hunt this weekend. Definitely check it out. It's going to be a great turnout. And I don't see any. I think I'm in town, so I'll be there.
Awesome.
I'll be there. We'll hang out. We'll have a great time. Looking forward to seeing everyone there. If they made it this far, Joe.
Yeah.
What should they comment below?
Oh man. Just tag a friend.
Tag a friend.
Yeah.
If you're still here. Tag a friend. Yeah. Share the post, share, like, comment, do all the fun things. We appreciate you so much, Joe.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for being awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you in the next one. Boom. Dude,
cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I looked at my watch and I was like, holy shit, dude. That was
I didn't know how long the show was.
No.